First of all, and before to talk about Hyperloop, thank you, Saha. Yeah. Thank you very much. That was awesome. As a father of 3 kids, I think that it's very important to bring awareness about the problems that social media is doing to the next generation if they don't use it properly. So thank you very much for your nice words about that. Okay, so let's talk about Hyperloop. 10 years. We have been 10 years building the Hyperloop. And during 1 decade, we have been developing the technology. We have arrived to a point where we are ready to build. We, as Hyperloop Transportation Technologies, as Hyperloop TT, we were the first company to develop the Hyperloop. So when Elon created the alpha paper and he said that he had no time to develop it, he encouraged other companies to do it. We're part of a NASA organization, an organization created with the help of NASA and Gilman Institute to build companies in a completely different way, to build companies using crowdsourcing, people working in exchange of equity. And we thought that this was a great project. We put it in the platform. We did a call to action. Immediately, we have 200 people around the world interested in the project. And long story short, today we have more than 800 people, more than 800 engineers, scientists, people of all kinds of professionals working together. And we have more than 50 companies collaborating to build the Hyperloop. We have been defined by Harvard Business School like the new way of building companies. And what has happened, while we were building the technology? The world hasn't changed too much in mobility. We still have the same problems. Land transportation is not fast enough. It's true that we are trying, we are doing some trials to arrive to the 600 kilometers per hour, but the average speed is 250. High-speed rail doesn't solve the problem of land transportation. Solve, definitely, 500, 600 kilometers. But more than 600 kilometers, more than 3 hours in a train, people take the plane. You go from Madrid to Barcelona by train, definitely. But nobody takes Madrid-Paris. With Hyperloop, we could solve this problem. And the world of transportation continues being 24% of the global CO2 emissions. Okay? And again, continues not being successful from a profitability point of view. Just to understand, I come from Spain. Spain is the second country in the world with more kilometers of high-speed rail. It's the country in the Western world with the lowest capex per kilometer. Okay, cool. The line that is more successful is Madrid-Barcelona, again. And Madrid-Barcelona has a payback period of 120 years. There is no a single system of land transportation, mass land transportation in the world that doesn't rely in tax subsidies. So, okay, 10 years building. What's next? The next 10 years are going to be about sustainability. At the end of the day, transportation represents 8.8 billion tons, 4.8 million work days lost of work lost last year in the US because of problems related to environmental issues. It's a disaster. So, what's next? In the feasibility study that we did for connecting in the Great Lakes, the area of Cleveland, Chicago, and Pittsburgh, we demonstrated that we could reduce the CO2 emissions by 143 million tons over the life of the project, half of the total emissions of the Cleveland city. And how do we do that? Simple. We have been working from the beginning to reduce the energy consumption, and we are using the infrastructure to put solar panels on top, and to have an energy balance that allow us to be emissions-free from the point of view of operation. But of course, sustainability is not only that. Sustainability is about creating new infrastructures that doesn't split the territory in two, that allow animals to move free. Sustainability is also about how do you commit, and you commit your company, to the UN Global Compact goals, okay? And how do you analyze all the value chains to talk about circular materials, to talk about green steel, to push, We have the obligation to be the ones pushing for these kind of things. And of course, sustainability is important, but if we're thinking about a transportation system, we need to be safe. Safety is a must. So during these 10 years, we have been working. We work with Munich Re, the biggest reinsurance company in the world, and we did a complete analysis, a risk analysis of the risk of the company, of the product, of the projects. We did our insurance framework to be sure that the project could be insurable. We work with TÜV SÜD, and we create the first Hyperloop guideline for our regulatory framework of the Hyperloop. And we are very happy, especially this week, because this week, the CE, after more than 2 years working with them, working with DigiMove, has approved a document where they commit themselves that in Q3 of 2023, in 1 year from now, they will have created the first regulatory framework for the Hyperloop systems. And of course, we are a North American company. Well, we are a worldwide company, really, but our headquarters is in North America, so we were working also with the DOT in the United States to push for a regulatory environment. And safety is not only about regulations. It's about signaling, it's about communication, it's about how do you secure this. And on this, like always, Hyperloop TT has been, I would say that we have been pretty smart. And instead of trying to reinvent the wheel, we take ERTMS system, the system that has been developed for years in Europe for high-speed rail, and we took it, we make an agreement with Hitachi Rail, the former Ansaldo, and we developed an application for the Hyperloop systems. So we are leveraging all the expertise of the rail industry to improve it and to arrive to a system of communication and signaling that is safe. And leveraging expertise, we also work with Thornton Tomasetti, one of the biggest engineering firms in the United States specialized in safety assessment. And we develop with them all the different cases and all the different extreme scenarios and all the different simulations, to secure that the system is safe. A system that, by the way, is safe by design, because the TÜV allow you to be immune to weather, allow you to be immune to any interception from the external world, and of course, you are on the ground, okay? But the next 10 years is also about developing a system and a product that is economically viable by itself. So let's give some numbers, okay? The total cost of air pollution in the EU has been 66.7 billion. As I said before, there is not a single system, land transportation, that is financially viable by itself, that doesn't rely in the public subsidies or in the taxpayers. The Metro of New York used $2 of each 3, in subsidies. Germany used 22 billion every year to subsidize his rail network. So, in front of this, we did our feasibility study in Great Lakes. Again, was done by independent sources, was reviewed by peers, following all the procedures of the public procedures, and we arrived to scenarios of 20 years of payback period. And there are some people that is talking about even more aggressive scenarios. Deutsche Bahn, the biggest rail operator in the world, they are talking that it's possible to arrive to 10 to 15 years payback periods. And that is a huge, huge revolution, because also allows that we can sell our system, can be privately financed, and we can sell it to all kinds of countries around the world. Of course, Hyperloop is going to generate an industry. Of course, you know, the property value is going to increase. Of course, you are going to have a spending tax base. This is important. But what is really important for me is the financial viability by itself, without the socio-economical impact. And when we analyze that, we arrive to the number in our study of 2.2. To put these numbers in perspective, more than 1.2, you are eligible, or ratio of benefit cost, you are eligible for federal funds in the United States. Every single project that in the United States is being pushed today in the high-speed rails is in around 1.2, 1.4 ratio. And we demonstrated that we could arrive to the 2.2. So, and of course, very, very important, putting the passenger in the center of everything that we are doing. We don't want to continue traveling like we are traveling today. We don't want to even differentiate about tourists, executive, and coach, and these kind of things. We are completely different people in the different moments that we are traveling. It's not the same when we are traveling with our friends, or when we are traveling with our job peers, our colleagues, or when we are traveling with the family. So we need different needs. So we need spaces that are multifunctional, and they can adapt to our different needs in different moments. So now the big question, when is this happening? What is happening here? Well, I have news, you know. Hyperloop is happening right now. 3 months ago, we had the first tender, public tender, for the first 10 kilometers of Hyperloop being launched in Europe. The Consorzio de Autovía de Veneto, the Highway Veneto Consortium, they launched a tender funded with the next generation funds of the European Commission. They secure 800 million to build the first 10 kilometers in an area between Venice and Padova. The tender has been launched. We created a huge consortium, and we are applying to that tender right now. And hopefully, if everything goes well, on January, we will be starting to work on this project. So, but it's not only about that. I talked before about it. Regulation is very important. And the perspective of having the EU, that normally is quite a leader in terms of rail regulatory environment, making the first regulatory environment in the Q3 of next year, this is really, really important also for the industry. We have other projects around the world that we're working, but right now, the most advanced, the most real, the most tangible is this. And the good news for us is how we are going to commercialize. Exactly the same way that we have been developing the technology, leveraging the expertise of all the partners and creating the technology together, because we understood from the beginning that we could not do it alone, with partners like Hitachi Rail, the biggest, one of the biggest Italian rail company, because, you know, is the former Ansaldo, companies like Labor, the inventor of the vacuum pump, the ones that they developed the vacuum system of the CERN, companies like Dara Handasar, the biggest civil engineering firm in the Middle East, companies like that has helped us to develop the technology. Exactly the same strategy we're going to use for the commercialization. So we can accelerate the commercialization, because we are not going to build the Hyperloop we are not going to operate the Hyperloop. We will be licensing the technology to the infrastructure operators and to the transportation operators. The Deutsche Bahns, the Vincis, the Ferrovials of the world, the SNCF, the Amtraks, the Lufthansas as transportation operators, the others like infrastructure, will help us to accelerate this process. And of course, the big question too is, okay, is this just for passenger? Is for freight? What about? No, we have been, during the last 3 years, developing 3 different products. We call it programs, following the aerospace kind of way of talking about the things. The programs is our light freight program, our passenger program, is the same capsule with different configuration, and our Hyperport project. Hyperport is the Hyperloop of containers. We create a joint venture with HADA, one of the most advanced port operators in the world, one consulting company specialized in port operations. And we developed during 2 years all the engineering, all the commercial case and the user cases, all the business cases, and everything related to the operations of a system that can carry containers. So we can carry containers, we can carry light freight, or we can carry also passengers. Just to finalize, a small video. Let me see, it works.
Imagine a capsule. Imagine a capsule that can carry you. Placed inside a depressurized tube, the air removed to eliminate resistance. Not traveling on rails, but actually levitating above them. Fully electric with 0 operating emissions. Capable of reaching airplane speeds and beyond on the ground. This is a Hyperloop, and it is no longer imagination. At Hyperloop Transportation Technologies, we haven't been dreaming, we've been building. From constructing the world's first full-scale Hyperloop system to revolutionizing how we ship freight, our team is building something amazing. We're transforming the passenger experience, putting comfort and safety at the center of everything we're doing. Our reimagined linear electric motor is powered by sustainable solar energy, propelling the capsule on a completely new, incredibly efficient acid levitation system. With these 2 breakthroughs, our system is capable of giving energy back to the grid. And the best part, all of this is just the start. Our team of over 800 strong, a worldwide intellectual ecosystem of thinkers and problem solvers tackle each day with the humble goal of changing the world. With its speed and efficiency, the Hyperloop will rewrite the rules of travel and mobility. But that's just one side of the story. There's another side that will have a far greater impact. It's the side that redefines how we connect with one another, where distant friends become neighbors, countries become neighborhoods, and everybody who inhabits this big, crazy world of ours grows a little closer together. Just imagine that.
So this video explains a little bit our history, but there is one sentence that explains our vision, our mission, and our philosophy. And says, when somebody tells you it's not possible, that doesn't mean that it's not possible. Only means that he has not figured out how to do it. And doesn't mean in any case that you cannot do it. Thank you.